I can see you are unmuted, Anja, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How are you?
Perfect. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So
Great.
this is your portfolio. Maybe you can talk a little bit about kind of your goals. I think it was about Naughty Dog, CG Project Red, right? Kind of those
Yeah,
type
and
of
Bloober
studios.
Games. Yeah, right.
Let's
So
see.
I also have a project this is which I'm currently working on. It's an
Hmm?
outdoor daylight vegetation scene to have a
Hmm?
contrast to my other works. I don't know, would it be okay to like post some images in the
Yeah, of
chat?
course. Of
So
course, of
okay, then
course.
I drop it there.
I'm a big fan of Stray, so
Yes, me too.
recognize this right away. Yeah, and I think we talked about this a little bit. Like, I would always be prepared that you will probably lose most people after 30 seconds, maybe. So that can be just
Mhm.
good to know always about that. If you do it this long, it's more for you rather than maybe for kind of applications and stuff like that. And that
Okay.
if you have something big in the end that you really want someone to see, maybe hint about it in the beginning, basically.
Okay.
Because when you have so many portfolios going through, like it's gonna kind of um, be hard to watch through all of that, basically, like long videos, basically. So I would say it's good to have kind of a video, but the video should usually be, I say, all around 45, basically. So good aim. Um, Same here as we talked about last week. I would probably put this just directly in ArtStation because then it autoplays. I think some will miss even that this is a video. Like sometimes people are very untechnical that are looking at portfolios, so I would just make it autoplay. So if you're using
Okay.
the ArtStation one, I think we can just start one here. Then it would autoplay like this basically. So you will catch more
Okay.
people basically. Art wise, I don't have that much feedback. This is super good, like beautiful work.
Thanks.
I think like the main thing I think that if you want to get like really close to Stray, I would say probably is lighting. I'm guessing you use Lumen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my guess is that they are baking lighting in Stray, like they're probably using a little bit more of an old school approach. And that way they can get much more bounce into their environments, basically. So you can see how kind of like the lighting is basically like painting the picture for them.
Yeah.
So you have that a little bit sometimes, but uh, I would say like 20% more would kind of be accessible if you would bake lighting, but I would never recommend to do that. It can be a bit harder with Lumen to get kind of this kind of soft lighting, I would say. It's of course like can be achieved, but it's much harder. Um, but I think it's like this is complaining on a very kind of high end, so nothing you have to look at, I would say. But that would be maybe like where you could push it. But then on the other hand, like you're not looking to be like lighting artist, right? Um,
No.
so I wouldn't worry about it. Uh, And then you had a breakdown. That's nice. This is always fun to see. And this could be like a thing to try to achieve like something in the beginning. I know it's hard, but trying to kind of figure out the lighting at this point, I would try. So kind of what you ended up with here, like having that in this beginning almost, when you have grayscale, like doing kind of a lighting pass. So I have a bit of an example of that. Give me a second here. And what that does is that you somewhat know the mood like right away, basically. So that could be a nice thing to try. But let's see. I just stalled some time here to find the one I want to show as an example here. Yeah, so we have the kind of demo scene here. So doing a lighting pass like this in the beginning when you have like a grayscale block out is always kind of a nice thing to do.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And then it doesn't have to change that much. Of course, I went for a warmer light later. So I would say like nowadays I try to like almost like figure it out completely, and then maybe even adding like the base colors on top of this to figure it out basically like what is needed to get the mood I want. Props are nice. I would maybe like same here, like complaining on a big double here, but bevel this, just do mid poly. Do you know about mid poly workflow?
A little bit.
Yeah, so we can talk about it in general here because we have many people here. Nowadays, like instead of doing high poly, low poly baking, we instead just bevel the edges like one time. We don't need to do it more, and get a soft bevel like this. And then we don't need to have like a specific normal map for that object. And it's a very good way to correct, yeah. So weighted normals, it's also called like you set it in Blender as weighted normals. So this is usually called mid poly because it's like the in between high poly and low poly. And it's a very kind of established workflow now because it's so much faster, especially for like filler props. And when I say filler props, I talk about like furniture and stuff like that, things that are filling out your environments. Like we can't like low poly, high poly bake everything if we're not doing kind of like a very specific art style. So I would say maybe a God of War, like you have to like ZBrush everything because it's the art style. But like a cyberpunk game, they do a lot of like weighted normals or mid poly workflow. And it just kind of takes away a little bit like the low poly feel, like when we do that. But the texturing is super nice, beautiful work. Yeah, exactly. I think it started a lot with sci-fi. So there is a very good example from Doom. That is very nice to kind of look at as an example. Detail, maybe. Yeah, this one. So the idea is that we, instead of doing high poly, low poly baking, everything is just trim sheets and bevels, basically. So we take away the whole idea of kind of beveling. And it started with sci-fi, but now it's kind of moving over to like every object. So most games do it to speed up kind of workflows. Yeah, these are very nice. This is very nice. So this is a good example. I always want to talk about this in general. It's very good to show it like this, like your kind of vertex painting. One thing I would maybe do is also show the graph for maybe more technical people to see kind of like that you maybe set up the graph very clean and stuff like that. So that could be a thing to extend with. having kind of your kind of graph set up. So we take like William here, for example. I think he shows kind of the graphs a little bit like down here, like something like this. And what that shows for maybe people in the team is that, okay, this artist works very cleanly. But I think these are always a must for most people, like in hiring positions, like art directors. They don't understand this. They understand this, and this makes them kind of excited. So having both, I would say, is always great. But yeah, great breakdown. Would be nice to see some wireframes, I would say. Like that's maybe the only that's missing.
Yeah, I think they are too dense. So
yeah, okay, yeah,
that's why I didn't show them.
Yeah, then it's the right decision. I always say if you know that it's not right, then don't show it. But that could be a good thing to kind of aim for maybe with another scene. And then I always get like, okay, what is a good wireframe? So I actually have a collection with wireframes from games. So I would just kind of study that. And usually like the next question would be like, oh, but we have nanite now. Like, do we really need to care? And I would say very few studios use nanite. So here I have gathered a collection of wireframes from games. So I think it can just be good to kind of jump into this and kind of get a little bit of a like a realization how wireframes looks in kind of big titles that we see nowadays. So stylized game here. So usually the wireframes are hidden in the bottom, so you have to always scroll. But this is kind of like a thing that can be studied also. So I think like we always think about the beauty we try to capture and render. And I think part of it is also like just like practices, like good practices in terms of doing correct wireframe. I would say maybe UV mapping would be another thing that you could show. Like that can be also a good thing to kind of show that you can pack well. And of course, like when we do personal projects, sometimes we have to kind of work a little bit faster with some stuff. I'm not always working like 100% correct, but it could be good to maybe make one prop where you kind of really almost like study packing, like good UV packing and showing that. And that's usually enough. And same here, like we have good examples here. Like this one shows good packing here. So something like this looks very boring, but for kind of recruitment and stuff like that, these are usually more interesting than maybe all the beauty renders. And I would say like this stuff is usually why you get an art test, like to know like under the hood is everything kind of, because visually like there is no problems here. So the questions usually an art test wants to answer is like under the hood, basically more like, can you kind of build it in real time? But visually super nice. Also great that you did a level 80 article. Like if you have the chance, I would always recommend to do that. Because this, I mean, when I look at the kind of hiring and stuff like that, if I find like an article like this, I always read these because for me it's kind of just getting to know you as a person or an artist more, basically. So it's like basically tapping into kind of your mindset and so on. So whenever I have a chance, everyone here, I would recommend to do that. And if we don't have the chance to do that, like blogs also can be made like similar. So this was the Rookie Awards challenge.
Yeah, the monthly challenge.
Yeah. So I would say here maybe like I would say of course it's I guess it's like under a certain amount of time you get.
Yeah, it's around 3 weeks.
Yeah. I would say like the biggest aspect for me here is that like texturing on the table maybe. Like for me, the table has so much surface space right now. So having that to have a little bit more kind of storytelling to it would be nice. And meaning that right now it feels a little bit more like just a tileable texture, but having kind of like I don't know, like scratch marks and stuff like that, and stuff that happens to this table. It's being
Mm.
used a lot, especially because it has so much surface, or else it feels a little bit like just kind of like one tileable texture, basically.
Okay.
Another thing, another kind of tricky part you have is that you have a lot of boxes here, and all the boxes are kind of like similar shape. So I can see that you're trying like kind of like breaking down with these papers, and the question is maybe a little bit more of that. So right now, like every box is kind of similar in size. So you have something we call like medium shapes here, but not that many like small shapes. Uh, so I wonder like if there could be
Okay.
like stuff like lying next to the boxes just to make um, everything a little bit more kind of grounded to itself, maybe. And we usually what we call this is like prop islands. So basically placing smaller objects around larger objects, kind of ground them nicely. Um,
Okay.
okay, so you had a concept here, right? But yeah, for 3 weeks, super awesome work. So comes out like I would maybe add that also into because most people wouldn't like I would maybe add it in the beginning here,
Yeah.
when it's this text, I usually like don't read too much. So I would maybe make it like the top part, basically, like the time frame, because that plays into it also, I would say. Um,
Okay.
this one is very nice style. I recognize the concept artist. He does a lot of tutorials for Procreate.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. So this is Mari V-Ray. So this is like outside of game development, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. So did you do like kind of more movie renders and stuff like that before a game?
No, this is the first term in the school is more like film based, and then you go in
Mm.
games in the second term.
Okay, okay.
That's why.
Yeah, so I would say, of course, at some point, maybe you want to have everything being kind of Unreal based. I mean, I think you're capturing the art style very well here, so I think it's like something you should keep. But I would say can be good to kind of like having everything being kind of like Unreal based if it's like game development you want to do, basically. But I
Yeah.
think this is more of a kind of like a visual study, art direction study, and I think you're capturing the concept art very well. Looks like a kind of an art style I would like to play a game in. Like this looks very nice. Um, yeah, so that was the whole portfolio. So we can jump to your renders also.
Yes.
Nice. Do you have a kind of like a game art direction, like a game in mind when you're doing these?
Yeah, like Witcher
Hmm.
stylish. Yes.
And do you have like is this the main composition, or which one is like your this one is the main composition, I'm guessing?
No, this one
Yeah,
should be
like
more. Yeah, the whole wood
yeah,
and trees.
yeah. So the focus here is vegetation. Are you using speed tree or kind of what are your
Hmm.
workflows here? Yeah, nice.
Yeah, speed tree and then Unreal.
Hmm? So I think, have you watched the new Witcher 4 tech demo, which looks
Yes.
very cool? Yeah. So
Yeah.
one thing I would say, like that, I would probably focus on now is trying to make the ground feel more tree dynamic. So right now, uh, I can see a little bit like the landscape surface here. Do you have like an aim, like time wise, when you want to be done with this? Like, so I know that.
I would say in May.
Yeah, May.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
but
the rookie awards. Yeah.
yeah, rookie awards. That's a good aim. Yeah, I would say like I would really focus on the ground and trying to make the ground feeling kind of like believable in terms of not having a sense of it being just tileable texture on landscape. I think Robert Barry is kind of nice. He has like a lot of these 4 scenes. So of course he works at Embark, so it's a little bit different style, but I feel like I get a little bit this style in your scene. Like these reminds me of each other quite a lot. So what I would do is study a little bit what he does basically. So I would get much more kind of ground flora. I think he shows it in another post here. See which one is it? This one maybe. So much more of these kind of like, so I can see you have a little bit of that, but it's a little bit safe, right? So I would kind of like just bombard it with a lot of this stuff. And another thing you want to bombard. So you can see here, like this feels quite tree dynamic because you get so much drop shadow from all of these objects here. So it kind of like, you don't see the landscape that much. And then I'm guessing also he has displacement. Do you know what displacement is? Or like tessellation. So that would probably be also something to look at. I would just go with tessellation on this, especially for things like this is like nice, like landscape and stuff like that, because then you get like a little bit more. You might have it a little bit. I'm not sure. Like, do you have tessellation on? Or is this normal?
I think it's it's nanite on there. It's just not enabled.
Okay, yeah. So that could help a lot also, just to kind of get these to kind of pop up a little bit more. The next thing you want to do is use. How can I show this the best way? So we can do mesh blend. He maybe has some examples. But another technique, maybe we can do pixel mesh. Like when it comes to nature, especially like realism, you can take just because these fees are using kind of quicksell textures and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah, so I would maybe use also like more kind of like roots and stones and stuff like that, like mesh based, and just blend them into the landscape, because that can really help to make stuff feel more tree dynamic, like this stuff basically. So these are just meshes placed in. What you want to kind of avoid then is our kind of biggest nemesis as or enemy as environment artist, and it's this stuff. Like getting these sharp lines is kind of what breaks this kind of. So you want to find a way to blend it well, like this, when you place meshes like this. Of course, there is this way. This costs money. So mesh blend, it's kind of like, I think most studios starting to use this now because it's so kind of powerful. This is kind of based on post processing. So it's kind of using the post processor. So just kind of like not the material in itself. If you want to do it by yourself, you can search for, I think, like virtual texture, mesh blending. Like there is a lot of tutorials to set it up also. So there is like ways of doing it in the landscape like this basically. And you can see now it's kind of like it bends a little bit too much here, but it's much better than this basically. Like this is what you want to avoid. Like these laser lines. So I would kind of like probably focus on that the most right now. And then see if you can also like figure out how to get a little bit more kind of 3D on kind of like all the edges. So if we take like, for example, your rocks here, would maybe be worth checking out like moss cards. It can be a bit hard to set up, but it can look very nice. So here we have like moss cards from Assassin's Creed. You can see how fluffy it becomes. So what makes this very nice is that you get the silhouette not to be like completely flat here, like where I'm pointing here. Like it has like a little bit kind of breakup. And I would say like when we have rocks like this, usually it feels a bit more old school when it's just a rock shape continuously, especially when it's like a very mossy area like this. I know there is an artist. There was one that did, so this is of course Assassin's Creed, but there was one, here you have actually the textures they use. I'm gonna just link this one in the chat here for you. I'm Googling here a little bit on the side, trying to. Yeah, if you search like moss cards Unreal, there is people like doing kind of breakdowns like this. So it could be worth kind of checking that out a little bit also.
Okay.
Do you have any kind of specific questions for me?
Yeah, so this is now a project I'm working on. So say I want to apply for a job, but yeah, the project isn't finished. But obviously it would be nice if the studio could see what I'm currently working on. So how and where can I present work in progress decently?
A great question. Like, so I went into a little bit of job hunting now, like during January, and my what you call it tactic was to just do blog posts. So that, I would say that's probably my answer to it. It's like blog posts. And I would say these helped me quite a lot. Like when I was talking to studios, they were usually more interested in these rather than just the art. Of course, I spend maybe a little bit like a lot of time on these because I wanted to make them not just good for that, but also to teach people a little bit stuff. But this stuff, I would say, is maybe the best way of doing it. And I cheated a little bit, of course. I've started this project in October. So I had a lot of content already that I kind of like just added to the blog post. So these are not in sync with where I am with the project, basically, which take away a little bit the pressure of kind of like building something at the same time, kind of writing about it. So that would be also a tip. Maybe start kind of writing about the block out of this, maybe. So you have a little bit padding, basically. You can look here for like examples of maybe a little bit like how people write them. So it doesn't need to be like the biggest article ever. I think Andre here is kind of nice. He's doing a photogrammetry one. So he's just kind of like, it's not that much text, right? It's just kind of like a little bit like what he's currently working on. Like this one was quite like the first one. But if we go to his second one, like this one, for example, like a small update, like not that much text, but people see this, they see that he's working kind of smart by like segmenting out this object and really figuring this object out. So you get like, you're almost like using your portfolio piece to spread it around extra amount, basically. So you're getting kind of like a little bit win out of it, rather than just one time posting it on ArtStation and then maybe a couple of people see it. Here you're kind of drip feeding a little bit, like and using kind of like all the time you spend on something building it, you can drip feed it like this also. So I would say that's probably my biggest tip. I would maybe also argument that it can be nice to do it both on ArtStation and LinkedIn, because not everyone sits on ArtStation. So when I did my articles, I always wrote them also on LinkedIn, actually. And I would say LinkedIn is much nicer to write in. And then you never know. Some people see it here, some people see it on ArtStation, and that's kind of the goal, right? As much as possible should see it. So that would be maybe my biggest tip.
Great,
but yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of Martina did a kind of what you did basically. So she did like a forest scene after she finished her project basically.
Okay.
So this can maybe be nice for you to see kind of breakdown wise. Like I think this is kind of nice breakdowns. And she ended up at the people that do Rust now. So I think this is kind of a good portfolio to can kind of like see a little bit what you can kind of do. So finished the kind of Vertex school with this one, and then after Vertex school doing kind of like smaller studies like you do. So I think that's very smart, like making kind of a forest scene. I would maybe like set race wise, I would maybe like push this a little bit more. Like I can see that it's kind of like not kind of completed, right? Like it's floating a little bit and stuff like that. But it would be nice to make this a little bit more of a set piece. Maybe having, I don't know, kind of like another object here where stuff can stand on. So getting kind of stronger silhouette on this object maybe. But I would focus on the ground now. Like you're trying to like figure out nature stuff. So I would focus on that. You could maybe do like 5% PCG could be cool, just to say that you have tried it. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be maybe a recommendation also, is kind of like just do it to kind of add that you did it rather than more that you master it. So that's also like a little bit of a sheet to kind of like touch a software for like an object or two, and then you can add it into your kind of portfolio piece, basically saying that, yeah, I explored this software. So that's a tip also.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but awesome work. So I think Robert Barry is probably quite nice for you to check out. So I'm going to link that artist. And then good luck with the current scene. Any last questions?
Yeah, thank you so much for your help. This was really very helpful.
And no worries. Any questions before we jump to the next person?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just a little one. So I really noticed that I enjoy doing vegetation. So would you say it makes sense to specialize in vegetation beyond creation?
I would probably not specialize in it, because like I would say like every studio maybe has one vegetation artist per game. So it's a very kind of like very like small industry, so to say. So you really need to have passion for it to be it. I mean, people I worked with, like for example, Chico, he wrote even like a book about vegetation. So you need to kind of like he is specialized in it, I would say. But he's been doing it nonstop for the past maybe 8 years. So that needs to be kind of a decision, I think. Same with Simon Barle. But what I would say with both of these two artists is that if they had to, they could do environment artwork also. Like they have that knowledge since before. I would also say, like, for example, with Simon Barle, like he joined the industry as an environment artist and then slowly become a vegetation artist. And I would say that's probably the most common one also. Like, for example, I was an environment artist when I got the role as a vegetation artist. So I think it's very rare that someone gets hired as a junior vegetation artist. Like, probably happens, but it's very rare. So I think it's more valuable to do environment artwork like you do, and then adding kind of a vegetation scene into the mix. Like I think that's a great value. It's like the same question as lighting, I would say. Like lighting is also like a role nowadays, but it's also like not that many per studio. So I would maybe instead do environment artwork with like very good lighting. And in your case, maybe like next scene, add in more vegetation into your project, right? So that way you can kind of like do both at the same time.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So I'm going to just check questions that have come up. So Alex asked a great question, like of course it's very hard to see all the kind of graphs and stuff like that when you show like your materials and stuff like that. I think like showing the nodes is more about like showing that you work cleanly. So what you kind of want to do is like not have like the spaghetti nodes basically. Like you don't want to show this basically. So that's more the idea. So it's more showing that that you can kind of like organize cleanly rather than like showing breakdowns. But then if you want to show breakdowns, I think a good example of that would be this one. I can show that quickly. Uh, so we probably have some here. I have like a tech art one. So you could zoom in a little bit like this also. But this would be more like tech art. I think like more environment art would be this guy. Like you could do it like this also, like zooming in, showing specific graphs and how you solve them basically. And this would maybe be a little bit more like explanation how you think. And the other one that I'm talking about is maybe just showing that you work cleanly. And I think sometimes that can be enough also. Like this is not that maybe super clean. Like nowadays we have a lot of nodes that can kind of clean this up. So making kind of these kind of yeah, like this maybe, like making organized for someone in the team to be able to read it clearly. And then Michael asked, is it going to be recorded and posted? Yeah, it's going to be recorded and probably mailed out and then probably also on YouTube. So everything is being recorded right now. So no worries. Um, and like I said, like we're going through like portfolio pieces from people that posted last time that we never got the chance to do. So we're going to probably focus on them, but feel free to post, and then we're probably going to do another stream like this. If it's like a reasonable amount of people, I might just do like a recording outside of this and feedback and put it out or something like that. So if I see any portfolios being posted, like Michael's, I'm saving them. If you are posting your portfolio, please write a little bit context for me. So the context should be kind of what, like who you are a little bit and where you would like to work, because that helps me to be able to feedback a little bit better. But yeah, with that, let's jump to Alex next. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing good, thank you.
Let's see. I'm always with a lot of these. I think I have your portfolio somewhere here.
I really appreciate you taking the time to do an extra session to get the rest of the portfolios.
No, no worries. This is fun for me also, like checking out all your nice art. So yeah, maybe you can give a little bit context for everyone here, like a little bit what would be your kind of goal and so on.
Of course, yeah. So I recently graduated with bachelor's fine arts in game design,
Mm.
but I'm focusing on becoming a 3D environment artist while also kind of building up my own indie game.
Mm.
Um, so I'm kind of doing both tracks at the same time. Um, But yeah, I enjoy working in both like stylized and realistic pieces. Um, Recently, it's been a little bit more stylized just with the projects that I've been working on. Um, but I have also heard that there is a little bit more work available in realism, like realistic pieces. Uh, but I don't have a like particular studio that like I'm tailoring my portfolio to at the moment. Obviously, there's studios I would love to work for, like Santa Monica, Naughty Dog, but those are kind of places I envision myself maybe working my way up to eventually. But
Mm.
um, my initial goal would just be getting, my foot in the door, whether that's working for a double A or as an environment artist for like an small indie project or something for someone else. But I am located somewhat close to Bethesda Studios, and then another
Mm.
small studio called Lork Games, who does them like stylized art. So those I've been looking at those as my potential entry point, but I have been applying, but um, I'm also looking at other studio. I don't want to lock my portfolio down into like one specific studio.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the idea of like having kind of a goal or a North Star in terms of a studio is always about it gives you an art direction to follow. So for some
Mm,
people, it can be hard to kind of like know visually what to build. And then I think another aspect is that if we have like a studio, for example, at Bethesda, like you can study a little bit how they would make games and use those workflows and have like a starting point of what to learn. So that's kind of the idea, I would say, because I would say if you do like semi-realism, like Ubisoft is a very common one that people pick. If you do
mm.
Ubisoft style graphics, like you open up the door for most studios that are doing semi-realism. So I think you're never gonna put yourself in a corner that way. It's more kind of like a helping hand to have something to aim for.
I see.
But yeah, I think like first like this feels very good. Like um, I would say is this the indie game you're working on?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's one environment from it.
Reminds me actually a little bit about the indie game I started with. Like
Really?
we
Oh
did
yeah, no,
like
I did see that. Yeah, I saw some of
yeah
your
a
environments for
piece.
it. I actually thought I was saving some of them. Yeah, the lava one was like because it's a party game, so I like those kind of small arenas.
Yeah, we had like jungle team also, like a jungle. Let's see if we can go into the game even more. Like we had a jungle level also, I think,
Mm,
but it might not be visible anywhere. But yeah, I think this is a great. Yeah, here we have the jungle theme. I think this is great. Like you learn so much doing this, and I would say for a studio, this is always valuable. I always say
mm.
that I probably learned the most while doing the indie game. Are you working on it your own or in a kind of a group?
Mix on my own, but also when my brother is home, I work with him. He's more of a programmer, so
Oh, nice. Yeah.
he's more on that side.
Yeah, I would say that that's like the thing I would like if you are aiming for indie, I would probably recommend like keep working on this, but maybe also try to do a little bit game jams and stuff like that, where you can start meeting kind of like other developers,
Mm,
where you can kind of get like a network in terms of the indie realm, basically.
okay.
Um, so that would be kind of my first recommendation, maybe like especially because you are kind of a little bit more open to indie. And I would say it's also very fun to do game jams. Usually they are not that much commitment time wise because it's usually over a weekend and then it's kind of done. But then you might meet your kind of partner in crime for like starting a studio for like in the future. You never know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So things like that can always end up. So I have friends who got hired from game jams, like when we were in university.
Oh, wow.
So like a friend game jammed with the people that do the Rising, like this
Mm,
game, like
yeah, it's
Stunlock.
vampire one.
Yeah, he was just game jamming with like people from this studio, and they hired him kind of on the spot, basically.
Wow. Yeah. Th
So you
this
know, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say this project actually it did start as a game jam, but then we decided to kind of take it a little bit
Okay.
further. We wanted to release it on Steam, but I haven't done many game jams with like, just yeah, with random people. So that's a good
Yeah,
suggestion.
and I think like game jams are super available. Like it's a big thing nowadays.
Mm,
So I would just check out these web, like you see how many there are.
yeah.
So I'm gonna link this one for everyone. Can be a bit scary in the beginning, but I mean most people are like there to have fun and like I said, I mean a lot of big games started as game jams. Like you never know kind of what. Like Are We There Yet is a very good example. Like quite recently, this game
Yeah.
was like a summer game jam when they were bored. because everyone was on vacation, so they did like a game jam, and now it's like super big. So you never know what ends up happening, right? So that would probably be my first recommendation. And then I don't know if you have like indie, like this website I would probably pay attention to.
Yep, work with indies.
Yeah, nice. Because you can like I when I was job hunting, I always had this like and just open it like once a week basically. Same with like remotegamejobs.com. So this one is new, I see. Have you tried like the game dev map like on your region?
Yeah, I have. I noticed it's not like quite fully up to date, but that there have
Yeah.
been some studios that I found through there.
Okay, nice. So yeah, I would start bookmarking that, and then so let's see. You are Virginia. I need to cheat here a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, and
New
East
York,
Coast.
now close to New York, or like mid. Um, yeah, I mean, like Bethesda, I don't have that much kind of knowledge about like how their recruitment goes, but we talked about that a little bit last time. Like maybe I would check out the Bethesda studio and see if they have any juniors. That's like really bad spelling. I think you wrote it there like
Yeah,
that.
I found someone on ArtStation that I believe they started out through an internship
Okay.
there, and then a year later they ended up being brought on as a full environment artist.
My recommendation would be to maybe write that person.
To reach
I've
out, you know.
Yeah, I would say like of course like when we reach out to like senior people, they might be a little bit busy because they get a lot of messages. So like can be good to reach out to seniors in a studio and ask for help. I would say if you reach out to a junior or someone just starting, it's probably going to be their first message from someone. So for most people, it would be quite exciting. Kind of like, oh, someone is asking me for help.
Yeah.
So it never hurts. Of course, like respecting that it might not end up being an answer right away, but that would be a recommendation.
Hmm.
So reaching out to that person, I would do.
Would you just recommend like reaching out on ArtStation or LinkedIn? I don't know
I
what
think
people
I,
prefer.
yeah, I think it's very hard to say. It depends on the person, right? So
Hmm.
you can start with one, and then maybe if you don't get an answer, or, like during a month, you can say that, hey, I reached out on ArtStation. I'm doing another try here on LinkedIn. And then if you don't get an answer, maybe that's an answer then. Like,
Hmm.
so start with one, and then try like 2 weeks later or something the other. Um, because I know myself, like sometimes it's also like you read a message and you answer in your brain, and then you forget the answer, and then it's like, oh shit. So it can be nice to
Yeah.
have a reminder sometimes, like when it's busy times. Um, so I think like breakdown wise, like you are doing super well. Like I think you're kind
Hmm.
of showing everything you need to show. Uh, And then, of course, like what we talk a little bit about, like it's always a little bit dangerous to kind of go in two lanes, like stylized and realism. So you talked a little bit
Yeah.
about like job wise, it's true. Realism is a little bit more kind of bigger in terms of job. But of course, like if we are not kind of in it for it, then it's harder, I would say. So I would say go always for passion.
Hmm.
But then, of course, like I have this problem myself. I'm 50-50. I love stylized, but I love kind of realism also. But in the beginning, I picked one maybe and focused on that. I think you don't need to take away anything because I think this scene is very nicely done and very like I think your presentation is like super strong.
Thank you.
So no need there. And I think it's also very cool to see that you are kind of comfortable being inside. Is the other one Unity or both Unreal here? Yeah,
Yeah, the middle
Unity. Yeah,
one, the library one is Unreal.
yeah.
The other ones are Unity.
So I think that's great that you're showing that you kind of you're like easily can jump between engines.
Hmm.
Um, because that's like Bethesda, for example. You're gonna have to jump to their engine, for example.
Yeah.
So feedback wise, like I don't have that much kind of feedback on your scenes in general. Like I think, do you work on something like currently that you want me to look at?
Um, I do have some projects I'm working on, but I didn't have much prepared to show. But
Hmm?
I guess I would ask as to like what project I should kind of focus on pushed pushing on my portfolio next. Because one of the projects it was a an outdoor modular kit for like a European style, almost like a Netherlands style of houses.
Hmm?
And then another environment I'm working on for my indie game. That one is like a kind of Candyland themed level, very stylized. Both of them are very kind of stylized, but I already have some environments with a lot of like modular kits and kind of building. So I was just wondering if I should focus on doing maybe another project that's different and more unique. Like for my indie game, I have a train, a very detailed train model that I'm working on with the weighted bevels, or weighted
Hmm?
normal bevels workflow. But that's a bit on the back burner right now. So I don't know if like something like that would be more worth showing, even though I'm not like a vehicle artist.
Yeah, like I would say it's if you're going for indie, like you want to kind of spread yourself a little bit more, basically, like generalist. So then I think it's kind of like valuable to kind of show a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
It might be interesting for you also to maybe find some artists that's been in the game for a while that works for indie studios. Like I would maybe do that also, like study people that are kind of jumping between indie studios and freelancing or working for one kind of specific way. I'm trying to find like remember someone like my favorite artist. Let's see. Uh, let's see if I can. I'm just looking here for my kind of likes if I have any kind of more because it's very easy that we just kind of look at like AAA portfolio examples and then it kind of muddies a little bit kind of like the path I feel like. So I would maybe study um, indie developers like what do they kind of post and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um,
Do you think my portfolio is in a spot where I could still competitively apply to AAA positions? Or should I focus
uh,
more just on indie?
I think AAA you probably need one more scene like a still like an environment like this and maybe
Okay.
pushing it like fidelity wise I think work wise this is like super nice because you work very clean and I would say visually you're up there but I would maybe
Hmm.
like push it like to the next level. So when I look at this it feels maybe a little bit procedural. You would maybe want to kind of break kind of like the sharp
Yeah.
lines here with either
Yeah.
like mesh decal or
Yeah. Yeah.
bevels and then
Okay.
maybe more ornaments and stuff like that. Like it feels a little bit stylized, but I think you have like nice lighting and stuff like that. So it kind of like feels like an art direction more than like than things are missing rather. But if you're aiming for like AAA, like maybe it could be cool to do like a star field scene or another Bethesda game scene, like inspired by that maybe,
Hmm.
and trying to push that. Like fan art. Usually, I get the question like fan art is it fine? I think it's good to study. Like sometimes you can always do fan art and adapt your own kind of theme to it. So, for example, this one is kind of fan art. Like I was very inspired by Naughty Dog, by I picked like a random building in America, like this one, and then I just
Hmm. Yeah.
put like the coat of paint of a Naughty Dog game on top of it. And I think like showing that can also be a kind of good kind of like take something mundane and make it a little bit kind of like more maybe. Like, can you take
Yeah.
something that is a little bit mundane and like with artistic tricks make it more interesting looking?
Hmm.
So that could be a recommendation. So maybe like a you said you did like a Dutch city, right?
Yeah, I'm grabbing a screenshot right now where I
Yeah.
can send it. But in the meantime, I did have another question. Um, Hold on one moment. Um, yeah, I guess just generally, I mean, you kind of touched on this in some of the previous workshops, but like what are the first things that you kind of look for when you're looking at an environment artist portfolio? Do you focus first on just seeing if they hit a quality bar, or is it like breakdowns, or like what's kind of the first thing that you look for and that jumps out to you?
Yeah, I would probably say like first is quality, of course, like towards our game we're working on. So of course it
Mhm.
needs to be somewhat like style-wise similar, especially if it's like a junior. You want to kind of maybe see the passion of the style you are working on, because in the beginning passion is the important part because like knowledge is not completely there yet. So I would say that's the main thing. I think like everyone like rates different things a little bit differently. I would say for
Mm.
me, like a storyteller is very important, especially like nowadays. Nowadays, like asset wise, we do a lot of like just kind of outsourcing and stuff like that. So you kind of like always will get stuff from outsourcing. So it's not that much like prop modeling in that sense, but maybe more being a storyteller together with, of course, what you have done basically, and that's showing kind of like the main aspect of a building cleanly, and that would be to have like grid-based kind of modularity, uh, showing like this is nice. Also, I think like having vegetation that is modular,
Yeah.
prop breakdown, and then of course like being able to do like designer is good. So I
Hmm.
think like you're hitting like the things that I would usually look for basically. And then in the end it's like personality, like that will always, and that's why I say like go out and do game jams and meet people. So
Hmm.
many kind of roles I've kind of gotten is from accidentally meeting the right person in the right time. So the studio I will go to now, one of the people that recommended me, I met him at a wedding last summer,
Hmm.
and we were sitting next to each other. So you never know. Of course, like I would maybe not focus on weddings, like that's very rare that you will meet the right people. But maybe game
Yeah.
jams or drink and draws, like those are very popular, where you kind of take a coffee and draw together, or just general I don't know, game meetups and stuff like that. So I think especially when I started out, like I went much more on that then, where I kind of went to every kind of game development meetup in Stockholm, especially because I was new in town. And I just started to kind of like get to know people. And then eventually, like that kind of stacks up, right? And if you're a nice person to kind of be around, like that's basically half of the thing you need to be, basically, together with, of course, like being able to do the job. But I think like everyone wants to work with like just people they vibe with or click with. So I think that's a big aspect also. And of
Okay.
course, like if they recognize your name or your face, like you have like a already kind of like a head step than others, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing that I've been trying to do a little bit more, kind of like, get myself out there, join more Discords. But like I'm in a lot of Discords, but I don't, actively
yeah,
participate in, like, I'm not very active in a lot of them. So
yeah, and I mean, I was the same. Like and I'm still like not super like eager on social media and stuff like that, but I see it more as a part of my portfolio. Um, So you can always kind of do it kind of like more as part of building your portfolio, is also to kind of harness that aspect. And like I said, I think I said it last time, like one of the hires we did in the studio I was before, that was through Discord, because that artist just was very kind of nice on the Discord. So I never met him in real life, but I saw the art he did, and I saw he kind of feedbacked on people and was kind of just a nice person to people in the group, basically. So you never know who's watching, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But
So
yeah,
I did send some screenshots of the
nice.
current project. Yeah, this is the one of the ones I'm kind of trying to do a mix of like stylized but realism, but the rest of the game is very painterly. So I'm trying to kind of infuse some of that and doing some like paint like brush stroke tiling maps and like overlaying them and doing some like shader work. But I also tried to be a lot more thorough with my like breakdown and kind of like planning how I'm going to
Yes.
do it, because that's one thing that's always been kind of like daunting to me.
Yeah, stuff like this I would maybe like start putting on a blog or something.
Okay.
I mean, one thing, you will help people that's starting out, so I think that's just nice in general. Like most people, this would be new for people that have never done 3D before. So
Yeah.
you will always help someone, but then of course you will help yourself also by showing that you are actually thinking about the different aspects. I would maybe think of like when you do it, maybe make sure that you present in a nice way. So for example, like here,
Yeah.
I would maybe take like a screenshot that feels very kind of like thought out, basically. Um, so for example, when I have an acid gym like that, I would always set up like a camera for my beauty
Yeah.
renders, and like I think I have like this basically. Like setting it up like with a good camera angle and stuff like that, and showing it that way, instead of maybe a screenshot that feels a little bit like taking in the second, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Forgive those screenshots.
yeah, no worries. You're saying it in general for everyone here. Like I think presentation when you do breakdowns is kind of like as important, and have fun with it. Like I always like on my earlier stuff, I always try to think of like, for example, this car, when I kind of showed the early kind of mid poly workflow block
Yeah.
out here, I kind of presented it in a nice way. Basically, did a blender render with it, so I have fun with presentation basically. And this CEO project never became, or say never never, like it's almost done, but it's not like I haven't released it, but still I got like a lot of people read these articles, like they
Yeah.
like all of these articles got read a lot. So this thing gave me something still, right? So even like a project that maybe never see the end of lights kind of gave me something. So that can be a thing to think about. But yeah, I love seeing these things. Um,
Would you say it's worth putting them into a portfolio post, either in like a separate post on just focusing on the breakdown, if you have it enough
mhm.
info for that, or maybe just on the reference sheet, or like how would you present that on a portfolio?
I would say if you have enough stuff for it to become a little bit too scrolly, then you would do a breakdown basically.
Mm,
So I wouldn't do it if you just have two posts, like two pictures, then like having a breakdown post, it's a little bit too little. But if you really go into depth of the breakdown, then I think it's worth it. I saw one of the most insane breakdowns ever quite recently. Let's see if I can find it. And I like everyone, I don't say do this because this one is quite
is
steep.
this the
But
PDF one? Oh no, no, this is different.
yeah, this one.
Oh, I think I
Like
saw
I'm
this.
gonna scroll here for an hour.
Yeah,
I
it's
think this
crazy.
is like the breakdowns of breakdowns. um, I mean, I'm gonna remember this artist forever now because of this breakdown. So I mean,
Mm,
and I mean it's spread around like crazy, like this breakdown. So I'm gonna post this breakdown for anyone. But yeah, so you can see like this is like a breakdown. I would say don't feel like you have to do this much, but here you also see like presentation wise, like everything is like presented very nicely, like all
Yeah.
the screenshots and stuff like that. But yeah, any other questions? I think like that project you're doing, like I would just go for it.
Okay.
Um,
Um, Thank you. Yeah, that's it's been very, very helpful. I guess one last question that I would have is what would you recommend if I create a new project or something else that I feel like is more reflective of the current level where I'm at? Would you say I should just keep adding on my portfolio, or at what point would I kind of start replacing projects? And I guess also like if I were to replace a project, which one would you say, in your opinion, is like the weakest or sh that I should like look at replacing first?
I don't think you are at the point where you need to replace. Like, I would say maybe this one feels more like a study almost. So I
Mm,
would say
yeah.
maybe this one is the first to go. But I think it's like visually, I think it's very kind of nice looking. Like I think this could be like an art direction in a game basically. So I think
Mm,
I see, but that's the problem. Like I know there is artists or like people that are in hiring positions that are very kind of like just see realism as a strength basically, and then just focus on that. But when I
yeah.
see someone being able to bend like art styles like you are doing, like I would rather go for an artist like that. But like you never know who is watching, right? So there is no kind of like red line to go there. Like I think it comes down to luck who's watching your portfolio.
Mm,
Like a good example, like I said, the person I hired from Discord, that person actually failed our art test before I joined the studio. So he got a no
oh,
from the art director that was before me working there, basically. And then when I joined, I went through all the portfolios, or we were needing environment artists, and I usually don't like to put people on art test. So I rather look at like the art test that has been done before and see if there is potential there. So I did that and I found three artists and we hired those three artists. So you never know, like even if you get like a known artist, you never know what happens. Like there might be coming in a new person that sees it and sees kind of the potential. And I mean, I worked with all those three people for 5 years. So I think I did the right decision. So
yeah.
you never know, right? So, but yeah, I would say maybe, but I don't think you need to do it now. But maybe this one feeds more like a like study diorama, basically. Like I would love to see it in a like a environment context, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think the issue for that one, it was for a school project, but the actual final game project that they were used in was a little rushed, so I wasn't fully happy with how they looked
yeah,
in the final, submission
I,
of
I
the
know the
project.
pain. I know the pain.
Yeah.
I've been there too. But yeah, I would keep it for now.
Okay.
Maybe add a little bit in your summary here.
Yeah.
Is it okay if you jump into LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's fine.
So great that you're look.
I don't post, to be honest, on LinkedIn, but I am active on it and like reading what other people are doing, but I need to be more active,
Yeah, I mean,
updating.
LinkedIn is probably the worst website ever, but sadly, it's where people are. So I think there is a value of posting here sometimes.
Mm,
You never know, like some stuff can go viral, and then it can end up being a job. So you never know, right? So, but I think like this, you have everything. I think it's great that you have a portfolio up here.
okay.
Um, and the important part is having a LinkedIn basically. Like that's the important part, and linking it
Yeah.
like you do.
Yeah. That does
Um,
lead me to one last, I know I said the
yeah,
other one is my last question, but at the start I mentioned that I didn't have any specific studio that I was like tailoring my portfolio to, but based on your impressions, would you say that there are any studios that come to mind that you think that I would be a good fit for, just off the top of your head?
Like I would say more like indie, like because you
Okay.
are kind of bending kind of the rules with styles, and then also like that you can be in different engines. So my recommendation would maybe be to find artists that had done indie for a long time.
Mm.
I know that's. Do you know that game company?
That it sounds familiar. You have to remind
It's
me
the
what they
Journey
make. Oh
Journey Studio.
yes, I saw they were hiring for Sky,
Yeah, so,
for one of their projects.
and they had a junior. I saw that someone joined as a junior quite recently. I mean,
Mm.
I wouldn't call them indie. Like they are like 200 people in that studio, but visually they are indie, I would say.
Yeah.
So here we have that artist that joined that studio. And you can see very kind of generalist, can paint,
Yeah.
can do a little bit of everything. So I would say like and like my favorite artist, Tyler Smith, works at like this artist is like I don't know how this portfolio is like an endless scroll. Uh,
Oh wow.
he worked at Ghost of Tsushima like
Yeah.
before, so but he's doing stylized on his free time, and now he works at that game company. Um, but he posts basically every week, like one project every week.
Mm.
Does a little bit blog posts also. But yeah, would maybe recommend to like do a little bit like deep dive on if you can find like
Mm.
there's so many indie studios that we don't think about that we like that game studio. And it could be
Yeah.
maybe nice to just like look for artists like I know that someone mentioned Hinterland Studio. Like I think they do really cool stuff. Like they do this game that looks amazing.
Mm.
I think they're in Canada, but they do remote. So I would maybe start kind of like mapping out that a little bit, like what type of indie studios are there. But yeah, I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah. That's been super helpful. Very, very valuable feedback. So I really appreciate it.
And no
That's
worries.
all my questions as well. So
Yeah,
thank you.
no worries. Let's see. Need to find. I was. Let's see if there is anything in the chat I missed. Yeah, like Mesh Blend is a little bit expensive. I would probably not jump it on. I know there is like a competitor now on Fab that costs half of the money, but I don't know if that's like worth it. Mesh Blend, like this one. I know that sometimes these are also on sale. Like when I bought it, it was 40% off. It can be always worth to check out. But I mean, this one is like 60% off now. So it costs $10 right now. So, but I don't know how good this one is. So I don't dare to say. But this is basically someone that looked at this and then just copied it, which maybe is not the nicest thing. But yeah, might be worth for student projects to get this one. Like it would basically blend everything. But I can't say how good this one is. I would maybe read reviews basically if anyone has written any, or Google a little bit on it. But yeah, let's see. Next one would be Lily. Are you? Yeah, you are here. How are you?
Yes, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let's
Thanks
see.
for having the second session. I really appreciate that as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for showing up again. Let's see. You are interested in Gorilla and Crystal Dynamic, but open to, or even love to work within this. So maybe you can talk a little bit about it for everyone here, a little bit.
About working with indies or?
Yeah, like do you have any kind of in mind, like indies and stuff like that, or?
Um, so I've been working with indies for the last year or so.
Mm?
And I just really enjoy indie games. I play a lot more indie games than AAA.
Mm.
Um, so I like working with them. I think it's also a smaller team usually, so you can work more closely with the directors, the developers, and yeah, I just like that environment very well. The only issue is more that like in terms of stability
Yeah.
and costs, really the only reason why I would prefer to move into a AAA studio is for that like financial stability.
Mm.
Um, because I live in a pretty expensive city in Vancouver, so
Mm.
we have some options here, but it's hard to get in. And I think for me in this portfolio, I kind of just want to learn from your perspective of what I should be doing to kind of grow as an artist, how to move into maybe a larger role, how to stay in the industry long term.
Mm.
So that's yeah.
Yeah, I recognize the name here actually. Jamino here.
Geronimo, yeah, he was great. He's one of my art
Yeah,
directors for this project.
one of my old one of my first students ever. So
So
many years ago. Super nice guy. Um, yeah, and I mean, like already you're working on games. Like that's, I would say, foot in already in the door, and it's kind of extra important to have this. I would say like this always kind of is a great value, um, even if it's an indie studio. Um, super valuable to have that. So that would be kind of the first thing. So I would say having this together with maybe more kind of personal projects would be kind of the goal for you. So of course you have like Larian, this I know this company also. Like I've seen this one company also. So they do like fab projects, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's also great. That's I would say basically being a bit in outsourcing. And then I'm guessing this is your own project, right?
Yeah, that was my final student project. My last personal portfolio project too.
Mm. Yeah, and that would maybe be the thing. Like, do you have like any personal project in pipeline or dreaming
I
on
yeah.
anything? Yeah.
I have so many ideas for personal projects. I really want to start one, and it's just like, I guess finding the time because I feel like since graduating, I've kind of just been hitting the floor running, just kind of
Mm.
chasing the next project, the next, um, contract, and any work that I can find.
Yeah.
Just trying to build out the portfolio and networking and all that. So I guess the last month was really the only time because I got laid off in January. So
Mm.
February was like really the only month in a long time that I've had to just kind of look back on my work and kind of evaluate on where I should do next and kind of the trajectory, I guess. So
Good.
I've kind of split between like what you said, kind of updating portfolio with breakdowns and such, and showing my workflows and my thought processes, and kind of just starting something new, something more current to my skill level.
Yeah,
And yeah,
because I see potential already here, and this is 3 years ago. And I mean, I see like what you're doing already is also like industry standard. So if I looked at this portfolio, the first thing I would kind of want to see is kind of like a new scene. And I know like the pain of having work at the same time doing personal projects. It's like the curse of our industry. Um, and sadly, there is like no kind of good way around it. It's maybe finding the time when it's like accessible.
hmm
I always make it in pockets of time. So like when it's too much, then of course I rest, and then I kind of prepare myself for when there is time. And when I rest, I maybe like paint a little bit more and stuff like that, and not do that much 3D. But I think in your case, I would say maybe like a personal project is the most important part now.
hmm
Um, um, and maybe you can make it not the biggest project ever. Like maybe you can start small to make it more fun and not stress out yourself by thinking too big. So maybe doing a kind of smaller diorama that is like packed with detail and stuff like that. And then maybe it has so much kind of funness to it, or you're really digging it, so it scales up to something bigger. So that could be kind of an idea also. Together with, of course, like because I think like work-wise, you have like a portfolio now, I would say. So now it's more about like do you have anything lined up right now, like when it comes to like because you said that like a lot of time is going to kind of like finding jobs and stuff like that. How is it looking for you right now?
Yeah, I do have something lined up for later this month. It's that Full Stride indie game. So
That sounds familiar.
I worked with them last year
Okay, here,
to start, yeah, to build out their initial game, and they're planning to launch in the next couple months, and then are planning to expand the levels. So I will be helping to create like another 6 or so levels. And that's actually one question I had in terms of how to structure, I guess, this work, because this is just like the prop work. I wanted to get something in because I haven't updated my portfolio in a long time. But I have this like large work on the grandstands. Like the cover art on my portfolio is that. But since I made 8 grandstands,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to kind of put that in my portfolio. Should I be doing a post per modular kit? Like, I'm not really. Because right now I just have it in 3 parts. Maybe I'll put in the chat
Yeah.
to kind of show what I mean. Um, it's just like the ArtStation portfolio management thing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if should I just like split it into like a couple buildings per post or just have like a full breakdown on each. Because they're pretty big
Yeah,
structures.
I would probably split them up. Like we usually do that with maps. Like
Okay.
each map is one post basically. And like this is super powerful. It's a game basically, so you're working on. So you want to have that in your portfolio.
Okay.
And I can see already like breakdowns here. Like I would make that bigger basically. The
Okay.
bigger you can, the better basically, and showing thought process. So some of my like favorite posts is like when people kind of break down. So if you take this one from Remedy, for example, see if we can find it, or like this one from this game, or the new ones from Indiana Jones are great. Take some of these. So I would maybe study a little bit this. Like this one is like super good because it shows like this stuff is a gold mine, I feel like. Showing like thought process and very early production. Of course, it's hard if you haven't kind of recorded that in the past, but maybe for your future maps, I would take as much photos as possible all the time.
I
Showing like these kind of things is kind of super valuable.
I would actually love to do that for that modular mansion
Yeah.
piece. I'm just not sure how acceptable it is for some studios, who, especially, asset outsourcing studios. They're a bit more.
Yeah. So are you working with the studio or with a studio that works for the studio?
So the last one I had at Scans Matter last year was a
Yeah.
code development studio. So I was working at the studio for a game studio. Learters is just me working directly for the studio creating assets.
Yeah, I mean, then it's easy. Like then I would just talk to your manager or the art director, and except if they say no, you have to accept it, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like indie studios are more open for it usually, and I would say even like bigger studios now. I mean, this is like Alan Wake 2. They were starting to open up much more, and it's starting to become maybe a little bit of a like a selling pitch for studios, a little bit like showing these things and making like interesting to work there. Like I feel like the
Mm.
Indiana Jones post kind of like blew up super much because it's like beautiful way of showing breakdowns and workflows.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so I would just kind of like check with them.
Okay.
And like I said before, when I talk to studios now, I notice that showing those things usually gives more value. Like so, so I usually have like my art station, but then when I go on interviews, I do also have like a Miro board like this because then you can show stuff that
Oh,
are maybe a little bit NDI or stuff that you feel like I don't want to bombard my art station with everything I do.
oh yeah.
So I usually bring this with an iPad if it's like I'm there, or I just show it if it's like online. So that recommendation for everyone, like I do like an art timeline like this, and I can talk about like the different things I've done. So
Wow, that's actually a
reason,
really good idea. I never thought about that before.
yeah, and it's like fun and interactive, and then I give the link to the studio so they can kind of look at it in their pace. So for example, I work on this project now, which is very early on in production, but this one like we're like the studio I'm going to join now, I didn't have to do an art test because I did this. Like they said that they are like what they see here, that's what they wanted to see, so I don't have to do an art test. So you never know, right? So show as much as possible if you can, and usually I would say it's like a vibe feeling. Also, I usually try to feel what the studio's after, and then like that studio I talked to, they were very into to like work kind of smart and early production clean. So I kind of knew that they were into that. They're also like very into kind of game jam. So I did these my own game summer game jam. Very sad. Next time I'm gonna try to join a group. But I wanted to learn blueprinting, and then I just show to the studios that I feel like it's fitting to show that I kind of like to build games on my own. And yeah, like game project like these I don't have like everywhere, so I show just um the game I worked on before, kind of like a little bit under the hood, what I did in the studio, stuff like that. So very nice to have like a meter board like this to do that.
I'm 100% doing that, yeah. Because I've had that kind of problem before where I've met like a developer or someone at a networking event and they say, "Oh, like what have you worked on?" And it's like, "Oh, do I show them my LinkedIn or my
Yeah.
Instagram or ArtState?" Like everything's just kind of everywhere. And it's hard to just have everything in one place like that. So that's great.
Yeah. So here I can put like current projects, stuff like that, and I tested this with these studios. I haven't done this before and it worked well, so I'm gonna kind of like just update this and probably have like everything here in the future because it worked so well. um
Great.
any other questions that you have?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really have too many questions. You already answered my main one, I would say, like what to
Mm,
focus on. So personal project, yeah, I think I
mm,
would want to build that out. I guess we touched on it last time at the end of the session. I asked about AI and how that's kind of relating to the industry right
mm,
now.
yeah.
Because at my last studio last year, like it was going well. We had like this kind of like what we talked about earlier, the mid-poly workflow. And then
Mm,
halfway through, our CEO really kind of pushed for AI
mm,
integration into our workflows. Well, and then most of us got laid off a couple months after, so we saw how that
mm,
went. But I guess part of me is like, um, it's a bit tricky because a lot of the work I did on that in that studio, like half of it was NDA because
yeah,
it's unreleased projects, and then the other half is like AI.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm not really sure what to be doing with that, I guess. Like, is that actually a strength or something to be showing in a portfolio? Because I do see it sometimes in job postings where they're saying
yeah,
like, AI gen could be a plus, but then I'm like, I don't really want to be posting that directly in front of like all my actually handmade work on ArtStation. So
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very kind of tricky world to navigate like these
yeah.
coming years. And I think everyone will give you a very different answer depending on what their kind of where their heart is in the matter, right?
Yeah.
And a little bit like I said last time, I would say I know places where they use it. I know places where they somewhat use it, and I know places where they absolutely not use it. So I would say it's a very kind of like depending on studio environment. Of course, some studios are pushing it to be first, but then like the nice thing I think we have currently is that in the especially in our market, the game market, it's very kind of pushed backwards for like
Mhm.
pushed against from the kind of gamers because of course like when using AI, it feels a little bit like you're kind of taking away the crafting of making sure that everything is kind of working nice. Like it's a little bit like a try to speed run things to make things faster. But the question
Mhm.
is, are you spending as much time then making sure that everything is like working well? Like for example, code has a big problem with that now with vibe coding, where some softwares and places are maybe rushing it too fast and then having kind of a broken system. I know some bigger companies pushed back, reverting a little bit, jumping on AI completely now because it kind of broke down for them. Um, I think, of course, AI is here to stay, but I think it's going to be a while where, especially like with current generations of people, will you will have people that want to not have anything to do with it, and there will probably be a market for that. But of course, there will be a market for maybe fast art. I feel like it's a little bit like fast fashion, maybe.
100%. Yeah, that's
Uh,
how I see it
yeah,
as well.
yeah, and for some people, it's a very kind of important matter to not buy fast fashion, and for some it doesn't matter. And I think we're gonna have the same with like art now, um, which means that there will be a place for people that will want to kind of just do kind of pure handcrafted art. There will be a place for maybe a mix between the two. I think every AAA will probably do a mix between the two, but it's going to be a while because so far there is always a pushback when students try it. But yeah, eventually I think it's going to be less and less. To answer your question, like how to like work with it in your portfolio, I think I don't have like a great answer, but like I said last time, there might be a place where someone doesn't like what they see when it's in a portfolio. That's why, like for personal project, I would be careful maybe adding it in.
Mhm.
If you're not, of course, if you are like super into AI and want to work with AI, then of course it should kind of be in your portfolio and breed your portfolio. But let's say you don't want to do it, then yeah, then maybe should not have it. But I think like if it's like a game project, then most like I would understand it at least like that it's not you that pushed through it. Um, and I mean, is it super visible that it's AI, or is it more like you're worried to add it as a description?
I I think it's just associate like I don't have any content from that company on my
Mm,
portfolios because I'm not even comfortable kind of
mm,
associating, I guess, with the brand
yeah,
now that it's so heavily AI based.
yeah,
Um, like I think I was more open to the tools and the workflows
mm,
before working in it for a while. And then I realized it really does take the creativity and the fun, the artisanal aspect of
mm,
making 3D environments. Because like you said, it's just like fast fashion. It's putting the result first rather than the actual
yeah,
process. And
yeah,
yeah, the results not are not always the best. Like we can make it better through different methods, but it's still kind of just it's a different beast altogether, I guess.
Yeah, and I think so far still we have the possibility to choose. Of course, it's easier for some that, of course, have maybe more kind of possibility to choose, meaning that like a senior person have maybe more kind of like different people in different studios. They can kind of get into a foot to different studios. But I think the nice thing is that, of course, like there is still a lot of studios that don't use it, right?
Mhm.
And for me, that was kind of a big point, especially like now when it's still a choice to make. Like I would rather handcraft, and I like that aspect still quite a lot. And when that's not an option, if that's not an option anymore, I will just do it on my free time, like handcrafted art. And then I guess I have to just click the button at work and get money, and then do because I mean, like art I do on my free time, like I paint a lot, but I don't put it on ArtStation. I kind of share it with family and friends. So for me, like I that's why maybe my portfolio has so much personal projects, is because I never kind of try to attach myself too much with a studio work. So far it's been kind of games that I don't play that much myself. Like you said, I think that you prefer indie games and kind of the same. But then I worked on like AAA realism games, and it's fun. And I of course put like 100% into it. But there's other things I kind of strive for and have fun with, and that's my personal projects. So my personal projects have always been kind of like just pure kind of what I want to do, basically. And then for me, it's easier to do them also, like because it's basically like fun for me to do them. But yeah, the AI question is very hard. I think nobody has like a straight answer for it, like what will happen, when will happen, because you have like, of course, like will it hit a wall eventually? Like, will it be too expensive? Like, I think many studios haven't even thought about that. Like right now, it's just loan money that pays for all the prompting, right? Like that's just loan money, and like every AI company goes minus when people are using it. When they will start taking more money, will that be efficient for studios, etc.? So we don't know where really like where it will end up, and I think that's also why some studios are a bit careful jumping on it right now, because if you're like if you build your whole pipeline on using AI tool to make 3D, like what happens if they one get sued and kind of breaks down as a company, or if they make the prices higher. So it's a little bit like muddy water still for a lot of studios.
Great perspective. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any other questions about that. But yeah, I think nobody has like the true answer is not there. Like it's impossible to foresee it, I think, sadly.
I'm just happy to get like a senior artist's perspective on it
Yeah.
from a not fully like AI is the next big thing and everyone has to learn it perspective, because I think that's what I've been hearing from people I've worked with last year. And it was
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
discouraging in a way.
yeah, so I think like fundamentals will play a role even if we would move over to AI. I think you will always have a better artist. Like if you give someone with like AI tool, you have someone that has strong fundamentals in both like visual or storytelling, you will probably get better results from that person. So I think like for me still it's more important to kind of like just push my fundamentals, and then eventually maybe there will be a time when AI comes. Then I will have to maybe rethink, or I don't know, maybe the world will be so different. I don't know, I would be in the forest hiding. So I think for me it's like I try to enjoy making kind of like games how I've done it before so far. But I heard studios like 2A studios that have done what you said, flipped the table completely. But the nice thing is that usually if it's a bigger studio or more artists in it, usually they take a stand against it. and that can be quite costly for the studio. So I know places where people left because of it, and they lost like all the good artists by doing it. So yeah, I think it's a very muddy still thing. Any other questions before we jump to the next person?
No, thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Let's see. So Michael, Michael Shin, are you here? I see a Michael. Is that you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear
Hello,
you.
that's me.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
So I'm doing good. So let's see. Yeah, you were the person talking about Hinterland.
Yeah, I love this stuff so much.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to their next game.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, maybe you can fill us in a little bit. I see you have done quite a lot of things. So is this kind of indie project you worked on?
Yeah, so I'm currently in a working in a indie company.
Mm-hmm.
So Astronomo is one of the games. The reason I'm here is because I feel like with all the juniors being so good, I feel like
Yeah.
I'm like getting behind with all the new stuff and everything else. Yeah.
I know how it feels like.
Yeah.
Things move so fast, and I think yeah, when I see juniors now, it looks like it's basically senior people doing stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I think we talked about that a little bit last week. I think it just stems from a lot of juniors having kind of mentorships now, and then of course, like all the information is out there, so it's
Yep.
a very kind of different place now, right? So so you're kind of aiming for Riot, Blizzard, kind of those type of, and then Hinterland as a studio. I really like this one.
Oh,
This
thank
was
you.
beautiful.
Yeah, I really like the like a PPR semi-realism stylized kind of style. Yeah.
The same here. I would play a game that looks like this. But yeah, I would say like I get the sense that you are kind of like very kind of indie, strong kind of indie artist by being able to do character, weapons, like a little bit of everything, right? Generalist.
Yeah.
Do you like, is your aim to kind of work still indie, or do you want to kind of move towards kind of like ending up at Riot or Blizzard, for example?
I don't know how it is at Blizzard and Riot, but yeah, like my dream is at the end like would love to end up in Riot. But then lately I found out about Hinterlands. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, that's pretty cool. I want to work there as well. And I believe they are double A, aren't they? Or I actually don't know, indie.
They're quite big, I think. I think they have like 200 people or something like that.
Oh shit.
But they do remote, I think. They are in
Yeah.
Canada.
Yeah.
So I can never work there because I'm too far away. But kind of wish I could at some point.
Yeah.
Where are you located?
In the UK.
UK. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
the one tricky thing with Hinterland, of course.
Yeah.
And same with like Riot and Blizzard. That you have like a great sea to cross to get there. Would you be open to kind of move and stuff like that?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like if one of the dream companies like, hey, come work with us, I'll be like, yeah, I'll drop everything and then just move.
Yeah, so my recommendation there is like what we talked about before. I would find like a person that made that trip basically.
Uh-huh.
So I actually know a guy who went from Germany to Riot, to Tobias.
Oh, I know him.
Yeah.
We studied together.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in the same Discord channel as him.
Yeah,
So
he's really good.
back in the days. So you know him a little bit even, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
So I think that's kind of like the only way to kind of end up in these studios would be to kind of like completely study the artist that kind of works there, and see what are they doing basically kind of before they join, like what type of build environments did they build. Some of
Yeah.
course worked on other games. I think Tobias worked Fortnite before that, like that's how he moved over to America, and then he moved to Riot. um I think this one was he worked for like an outsourcing studio when he did this. I can't remember. But yeah, that would be probably my biggest recommendation for you would be to kind of like finding those examples,
Yeah.
and then maybe my next tip would be to maybe build something that would be kind of like towards that studio. I know that someone did like a really good riot scene that blew up completely. I think this person did it in the Counter-Strike, like he did a Counter-Strike map in riot
Okay.
style. Let's see if we can find that. It was a couple of weeks ago. I think this one is quite nice to previous person we talked, so I'm gonna save this one. Give me a second here.
No worries. No pressure.
I feel the pressure finding things live. I just think it's a very good example because that person made like something that looks like it was from Riot almost. Worst case, I note it down and you can just here we have it actually. So he made it actually in Unreal, so I think that's even better. And that person works at Ember. So maybe I think Ember is a good another good idea for you. Like they work with Blizzard, they work with Riot, but they sit here in Sweden, and that's a bit closer for you. So it's created by Snutty, who worked a long time. He's like a Swedish concept artist who worked for a long time for Riot, and now he started a studio here in Stockholm. And
wow.
they work on their own game, like this Witch Spirit, or what's called, Witch Spire. But they finance themselves by outsourcing towards mostly Riot, but then also like other studios. So that might be something interesting for you. I would probably connect with them, and you never know, they might look for people, and I know that they do remote.
Okay.
So this person works actually in France, and he works for them, and you can see this person does a little bit of everything and then ended up there. And I don't know when they joined. They joined quite recently, May. So I'm going to link this studio for you.
Oh, thank you.
And then I would like these, you can always kind of connect here and put up your portfolio. And I would like these websites, they are made by Team Taylor. They have this connect button, and if you click that, you can kind of put in kind of your mail and stuff like that. And then you get a mail basically when they get rolls up. So that way you kind of will be almost like first in line a little bit. So that's always good to kind of click this connect button. I will link this artist also. So that would be kind of what I would be like. Maybe not like Riot would be the way to go right away. Like maybe something like this. Look for maybe other partners that outsource to Riot. I know Airship does it in Berlin. I think they're in Berlin. I always mix them with the other one. Or they are even in... No, this is another one. I think Jasmine worked for them.
Oh yeah.
It's
She's
not
good.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's not the Wayfinder Studio, it's the other one.
Airship Syndicate.
Maybe it's that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Airborne Studio is this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Berlin. I think they do stuff towards Riot and stuff like here you have, yeah. So they would be maybe interesting for you to check out.
Okay.
Like then it's a little bit more accessible, I feel like, and then that can be like a first step towards that.
Yeah.
Same here. I would just kind of check the artist that works here. People, I think they also do remote, or they are maybe a little bit remote. I know they are in Berlin, but it seems like they have people in France and Belgium also. So I would just check out all the artists here. I would just go into their portfolio, see when they joined latest, and try to find like the latest maybe 3 people that joined the studio and just check out their portfolio. And that way you get like a complete blueprint how to join this studio, for example.
Okay.
Like art-wise, I don't, I think, have that much feedback. Like I think you are like you're working in the industry and you're doing good stuff. And then of course I know what you feel like. Like I think like especially when it comes like tech stuff, like the things are moving so fast. And I mean, I think what you can live on is that you have very strong fundamentals. Like I see very strong fundamentals here. And I think especially when you work towards stylized and work in indie, like that's like the important part almost. I don't know if you have any kind of specific questions for me.
No, not really. I think I picked up some bits and bobs from other reviews. Yeah.
Yeah, so I would say like one thing we talked about before, I would maybe just have everything in one, like because I think like this could be just like this instead when you were going to your portfolio,
Okay.
instead of having like that double click.
Yeah.
And then yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I was like, oh, that might be too much. But yeah. But then I saw there's like an all and then personal work is like similar stuff.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very clear what is personal and not. Like, if you mark it like this, usually I know what is not personal. And then maybe I would say, like, you can maybe collect some of these to smaller posts or like more confined posts. Like, you maybe don't need like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, 7 even. Like, maybe you can combine them a little bit more. Like, maybe 3 is enough.
Okay.
Because it's always that idea, like, if you want them to click something specifically, if you have too many choices, they might not click it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that everyone would click this one. I click this one. But that would be one thing maybe.
Okay.
But other than that, like I would always add a little bit summary. Like, can be nice just to have that. And I mean, you worked on these games. I would just add them like. Think it's like an about, like add the games you work on like this. I think that's nice to have there.
Okay.
Like in about here.
Yeah. I've never used those parts.
Yeah, so I would just add like it takes a couple of minutes to do it, and you never know. Like recruiters might like to see that. Basically, it's okay if you go into your LinkedIn.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh, code sync. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Or
They just had a massive layoff. That might be.
No, like there is like a studio in Sweden, but are they called something else? Are they also called Code Sync?
There's another code sync?
Code Sync software? Or I'm missing, like, am I? Mm. Okay, they are owned by a Swedish. That's why I
Oh,
know them. They are not owned by
wonderful.
yeah, Thunderful. They are
Yeah.
Swedish, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't really know what to put in here.
Yeah, maybe one thing I would is like never hurts to give your colleagues a review and then maybe you can get a review. I think that's the only thing that could be nice as a senior to have, like and I like it's a small thing, but it can be nice to have down here like people that worked with you, like just having some comments from them basically.
Yeah.
Never know, like that can help sometimes.
And how would you try to get it? Do you just ask those people to fill it in?
I mean, I've got mine. Like I usually send, like I do one for them, and then some people do it back. That's kind of like I
Oh,
would.
okay.
I'm too
Okay.
Swedish to ask. Like as a Swedish person, we would never ask. It's
No.
it's a big thing for us to not ask stuff like that. So what I've done is like, I mean, when our studio folded, I just write basically a review on every artist in our studio, and then I got some
Okay.
back basically.
Yeah, I think that's a nice gesture as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was
Yeah.
not to get. It was more like for them, it's like having from someone that has a couple of years is always good. But I think it can be nice, like having it and get like a sense because it's like the closest you get to knowing kind of how someone is as a person.
Yeah.
Other than that, anything else that you would like to go through or so?
No, I mean these are all quite old stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean currently I'm started on like a realistic revolver.
Okay.
I don't have access on it yet because it's on my work PC.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know if I should continue with it or maybe make it semi-realistic and turn it into
Yeah.
like a stylized prop instead of realism.
Yeah, I think if your dream is like Riot and Blizzard, I would probably be careful going to realistic. I would
Yeah.
probably spend the time maybe building like an Overwatch gun or
Mm.
a Valorant gun
Yeah.
and having
Okay.
fun with it. Maybe designing it yourself, like maybe building kind of like your own design out of it.
hmm
So I would probably tackle it like this. I mean, I'm doing an arcane scene right now, like to learn
Cool.
that style. So I think it's always good to do studies, like, but I put it in my own kind of theme basically. So I'm doing the art style of arcane, but I'm putting it like in my own theme basically.
Okay, that's interesting. Do you have it on your blog? I'm gonna probably follow it.
I think I have the beginning here. I think I talked about it a little bit in maybe the latest post. Yeah, here I have the block out here. So it's going to be this scene basically in Arcane. So it's place in South Korea basically. So the reason why I always have these kind of places is that usually we jump into Google Maps in my classes, and then students pick a city we go to, and then that's why all my scenes are places like this. So it usually comes from me building them with kind of like students pick like a region. So this one was picked by a student like Palermo, and then we went around in Google Maps and found
Oh,
this
that's
place.
cool. That's a cool idea.
Yeah, it's for me. It's also to show that we don't have to always kind of lean to like the epic concept art. Like we can pick something from just Google Maps, and then just put like the art style we want on top of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else?
Do you think I should keep the character in my portfolio? The Akali one.
I think it's still fine. Like if you're going for like Riot, like Blizzard, stuff like that, I think they kind of want more kind of people. I mean, I think like most people in those studios usually have like 2D art and 3D art, for example. So I think
Okay.
it's quite broad usually. And then I would just kind of like, I mean, if you check this artist, like I think this is a blueprint for you a little bit
Yeah.
of what you can do. So this artist actually did like an arcane study here. So maybe like this size could be a nice thing to tackle first.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be a giant environment always.
No.
So we can jump into. Let's see if I can find it quickly here. I have a lot of meta boards. So I'm just clicking through all my meta boards here. One second. Here we have the arcane one. So what you can do is you can. I mean, I picked from the movie a lot or the TV show.
Yeah.
But then they made like a really nice game also, and then like study that, and then doesn't have to be this context. Like you can do your own context, or you can do their context, meaning like steampunk, but maybe in a different place. Like what would this look in a winterland, like stuff like that. And I think that's when you push it like the further is when you take something like context wise like this and maybe put it in a completely different realm basically. So that's why I'm doing here, like putting it like this is going to be more of a like nowadays basically scene, like someone probably going to do an animated character. It's a dumb plan of mine also. So this is going to be released in many long time. It's going to be because I want to kind of try to do a character with this scene.
Yeah, it's so inspirational to see the stuff. Then every time it's like, oh, it's like in that moment you're so inspired. At least for me then. And then when I sit behind my PC, I get like, oh shit.
Yeah, I know what to talk about, and that's why like what I talked about before, like going to meetups and stuff like that. I think it's the best thing ever. Like if you have those in your town, like for example, here in Stockholm we have this game town. So it's like basically a room, and then in the back door there is indie studios, but this place is open, and then they have like talks and stuff like that. And then these games are being made here, so it's kind of cool. And like you said, every time I leave from here, I'm just kind of like super excited and going home and just doing art, because there will always be those times when like it's dark outside. It's not so fun to do art, and it's fine to not do it then. But then maybe like next time there is like an happening like this, go to that, and then getting infused by the inspiration again.
Yeah. So how do you keep yourself motivated to finish a scene?
Great question. I don't know. Like I think my biggest thing is that I don't do one project. And I think that like for me, like I don't have to care. Like I have a bit of the thing that I don't like my portfolio. I know like I have enough scenes now to like not having to do it. So for me, it's more fun. Like I do it for pure, just kind of like because I kind of think it's fun to figure these things out. So for me, it's not about like pressuring myself too much. But I feel like I've done that always. That I have like 3 scenes always. So I always have 3 scenes, and I think it's not a recommendation for anyone here. But I have a very busy brain, so I need to jump between different projects basically. So I usually work with 3 projects like not at the same time. So for example, this one I paused a little bit now. I'm kind of letting it breathe a little bit. And now I did the arcane scene. And then before that, like I did like the capybara scene that I released. That one, like this capybara scene started like 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
So I
It's
did
really
it
fun.
like, thank you. I did it maybe 5 years ago. So I think it's like the original one is here. I was not so happy with this one, and I kind of just threw it away, and I restarted it last summer and finished it. This version kind of disappeared with my old computer also, so it was a little bit easier to kind of say goodbye. I only had the Unreal scene, but not the work files. So I just restarted it basically. And then we have the supernatural scene. So this one is almost somewhat done.
That's cool.
And then for me, it's like place where I can try to learn about planning and stuff like that. So it's not always about just the art for me. It's also like processes, stuff like that. And I think the motivation comes from, I don't know, I still have fun doing it. And I think it's for me a little bit that I don't do the same art over and over again. I'm quite like all over the place with what I do. So I do 2D animation also. Don't do that much towards like ArtStation and stuff like that. But for me, kind of jumping between these different subject matter kind of helps me not being bored out of it. And then listen to yourself. Like if it gets too much, for example, this week, because I'm starting a new job on Monday, I'm just taking it easy this week. So yeah, I think that's also like a very important aspect. So this week I'm doing no art basically. I'm basically taking walks, and then tomorrow I'm going to play a lot of marathon. That's going to kind of be how I kind of wind down now basically. So I hope that answered your question somewhat.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
So my recommendation, like for you, would be to maybe look towards outsourcing studios. I think a lot of them are in Europe, so that might be like a easier goal to start with. And then you never know, like that might end up leading you to the right studio itself. But maybe start with like Envar or Airborne, and there is probably more ones. Like I would just search for Blizzard outsource. And an ArtStation. And then usually you get like here in pictures, you get like all the outsourcing studios posting. And I would just click in here and kind of finding all the ones that are doing work for Blizzard, Riot. But yeah, hope this helped you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely more than a little bit. Yeah, thank you so much.
No worries, no worries. So I know we have Ian is here, so maybe we can go with Ian next.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for doing this, by the way. You're putting so much effort for each portfolio. It's so nice.
No worries, no worries. It's fun to watch your stuff. Give me a second. I will find your, because we have them kind of like in a chat here. So here. So I don't have that much information from you. So maybe you can just give me a little bit like kind of what your kind of goals are and stuff like that. So I know that.
Right. So I started off like I did architecture at first.
Yeah.
And after I finished architecture, I kind of went. It's not really for me, I feel like. So I wanted to do game art because I didn't really know game art existed before. So I went to America and like did a master degree on 3D. So I've been working on like I think I would say I'm learning 3D for like a year now. And
oh, nice.
and I'm now working like volunteering at like a mobile game company, which I'm unpaid, but I'm working on like 3D prop. And like the one thing I want to do is just to get into the industry like as soon as possible, I guess. And I feel like my because I see a lot of people like a lot of like from different like top I guess top 3D schools that do scenes with like everything that they made them with, by themselves. There's like vegetation, there's like the self-made materials. I find that like very daunting and I want to just focus on like I think my strength is like kind of detailed modeling, I guess. So I want to focus on modeling and maybe doing a prop artist. But it's like doing like props like a good way to find a job, or do I have to like do a fully rendered scene of what I do before like what others do like with their own art style, with their own vegetation, their own materials. I feel like that takes so much time to do. And
Yeah.
what I'm comfortable with is using like the workflow I'm using is Maya into Painter and into Marmoset. So I've been focusing on that. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically what I'm at now.
Yeah, I mean, super impressive that you're already like after a year doing these things, and that you're already, even if it's not paid, like doing any type of work, I think will give you a lot. So I think that's great. So to answer your question, there is like a prop artist. So we can bring up a friend of mine who is working as a prop artist. He is kind of focusing on weapons usually. They are usually called hard surface artists then. But they will usually do what you are talking about, like much more kind of like focused on modeling, and then like Painter is usually their software. Something they use nowadays a lot is also Plasticity. So this is starting to become like a very popular software. I don't know if you heard of this software.
No.
But you will probably know more about it. It's like a CAD software, so it's similar to your realm, like industrial design, architecture, like when you do weapons or when you do more kind of like sci-fi stuff, you would usually use a CAD software. So, and in the past, the studios usually use like the ones that are made for industrial design. They are quite cumbersome to learn. So now you have Plasticity that is very easy to learn. So that would maybe be a recommendation if you're after like hard surface modeling, which I see a little bit here, right?
Correct.
To answer your question, like when it comes to like even if you're going for like 3D artists, like prop artists, I would probably render in this like in Unreal. I think there is always a value of showing that you can get it to the end pipeline, meaning that even like a 3D artist that maybe don't do environment artwork, having them being able to set it up in Unreal is always a positive. So I would probably recommend you to have maybe 1 or 2 projects where you show that, maybe even if it's just a prop.
Got it.
I know there. Let's see. And my recommendation would be maybe to like if you are into like learning like more prop art and 3D art, I would like just study those artists instead of like environment artists. So I know this guy is like for Remedy.
Just
Like
a lot
he
of
does.
top artists are doing like weapons, right? Because my next project is not doing like a gun, so
Yeah, I mean, like weapons are very common in video games, right?
right.
It's a lot
Yeah.
about shooting in most games. So
Yeah.
it ends up being that. But I mean, like, for example, here you have some other props that Pedro here did. So it's not always weapons, but probably want to do at least one weapon. But weapon art is like an art form itself. I can't give you that much kind of like good insights on it because I've done maybe 2 weapons in my life. So I'm not super kind of into that world. But what I would say like important here is like clean sub-D modeling. So I think showing this stuff is super valuable. Like very clean, high polish. The other thing is good texturing. So even if this is 10 years old, like this still holds up because he did so good a job with the texturing. But then if we look at like the latest stuff here from Alan Wake, like super clean. And here I think like a good example of like nice presentation, like doing a scene like this is like nice, putting it in a nice context. But yeah, I would say like the main
of this artist. I can't really
say again.
Do you have a link for the?
Yep, of course. He works at Rust now, so I think Rust is a cool studio to look at. Like I think they do a lot of cool stuff. So they do remote work actually. So I would maybe pay attention to this studio for anyone. Like they're in Britain though, but they had like an environment role quite open. But like all studios that have open applications, I would usually apply to them if it's interesting. But let's see, I'm looking for this guy. So this guy, I would probably go into his YouTube channel because he shows like he's a prop artist. And here you have, he does live streams. So he shows from start to finish on his YouTube channel how he does an asset. So recommend his YouTube channel. And he's super good at like teaching stuff. Like I sometimes just have have his stream on because he has like a very nice voice to listen to, and like just listen him modeling is kind of nice. And I feel like he has quite. Say again.
I'll definitely check him out.
Yeah. So go into his YouTube channel and click live. Then you have like whole kind of hours of modeling session basically. But I think here you have like very good examples of assets that like a modeler artist would do more. So I always like this one a lot. Like Workbench. But yeah, I hope this answers those questions a little bit. Anything else that you're kind of like wondering over?
Because when you look at my portfolio, it's like kind of like a mess with like a lot of different styles, I guess. And what would be like,
I would probably remove a little bit if I were you. And when I say remove, like you can always just hide it. So I think like remove feels always like very harsh in a word, but like I have like here in my portfolio, like so much stuff hidden here. It's here forever, but I don't show it basically. And I think like for me, there is a value of like hiding stuff and making it very curated. So I wonder like, because you have like a little bit stylized, like with, I think this is cool though. Like, I guess you did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this, I always like a 3D artist that can do do like sketches and stuff like that. But like if I saw this portfolio and got asked like, what do you want to work as? It would be very hard for me to answer that, right? So I think that's kind of what I would strive for. Maybe just having 3 pieces that tells someone that doesn't know you without seeing your title, what you want to work as. Like, I think that's like a good kind of goal.
Okay.
So I think like these two, like this one is strong because I can see that you have like a concept mind here. Like this one is quite strong. I think like texturing wise, it has like a little bit like, do you know what texel density is?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the texel density is a little bit like here is blurry and here is like sharp. Like I would say like the texturing here could probably be improved. And because I think like modeling wise, this is very strong, and idea wise, it's a strong idea. and I saw your low poly, like your modeling is strong. So the only thing for me here is basically just the texturing, like making it much sharper. Like, what is the resolution on these?
I
Like
think
the
it's
texture.
4K.
Okay, 4K.
Or just 2K for each.
Yeah, you might want to like check out like a little bit new workflows. Like when we do cars and stuff like that, we usually train. What we search for Indiana Jones. Like nowadays, we usually don't just do one workflow to be able to get like the texture density. Like we don't do like low poly, high poly baking anymore. Okay. I go like this. No. Yeah, I think Machine Game is kind of cool. They have like a whole 3D art. Like they even have a lead for 3D artists, which is quite like they have prop artists, dedicated prop artists. So I would check out Machine Games also. So this is also a prop artist. But if we click the train here, you can see a little bit like how we solve your problem here. With big stuff, usually it's not just uniquely baked. So you can see here, baked and textured is like these things, the blue stuff. Then trim based is the light blue. And then you have tileable textures, the green, and decals. And then you have a RGB mask blend. Do you know what RGB mask is?
Not really.
So basically how it works is that you set like this in Painter, and you have like a red, blue, green channel and a black channel. And then each of these channels, like these colors, are being applied to a tileable texture. So the red is being applied to something, the green is being applied to something, and the blue.
Mm-hmm.
And what you get then is like you get the texture resolution from the tileables instead. And they can be very sharp. And then that way you don't get this problem, basically. Like that it becomes like too low res, basically, visually. So that could be good for you to check out, RGB workflow. This video talks about it a little bit. I would say it's started to become a quite like almost like everyone does it for everything. I would say in a studio we usually use it for very specific things. I would say maybe there's probably some articles we can find for that. You search RGB. Like here you have RGB masks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the power you get instead of just doing vertex painting is that you get like all the good masks from Painter. So you're still using Painter, but you apply like the color and the normal map and the roughness is coming from a tileable texture. And that way you kind of can make stuff feel much more kind of like crisp. So I linked this article, so you have a little bit of information on that. And then I'm going to link this post also. Let's see.
Thank you.
Any other questions that you have regarding anything?
Maybe about like the projects that I have in my station. Like, what will you like give feedback on if you just look at like maybe the top 3 ones?
So I would say, like I said, like it's very spread now. So I would probably be careful having all of these. I would say so. This project, for example, is for me a little bit like almost like not completely finished because I'm guessing it's rendered in Maya with like V-Ray or something like that.
It's
So for
just
me,
yeah.
yeah, so for me, it would need it to be in Unreal and probably also being placed as a whole environment. And if you're building an environment like this, you want to have probably like modularity and stuff. So I would probably not like have this one. Like for me, a portfolio should be just finished, like completely finished art. Yeah. Like this one, it's cute. Here I would say like when I see this, I can see that this is like still a little bit low poly for being. Is it baked or a high poly? This?
This one was just like a project done in ZBrush.
Yeah. And one tip, like if I would present this, like I would make sure that you don't see, like you can see the polygons here, right? Still. So I would subdivide this always. Like that sticks out a little bit for me. Like I can see it's kind of low poly here still. But same here. I would say like everything you have in your portfolio should always be baked out. Like it should be kind of rendered for a game, basically. So if you had this character, you would need to make a low poly out of it and bake it out and stuff like that. And that's why I would not have it in the portfolio. So a good example, like for example, one time I did like 7 phases, like as an exercise, but I just did them like this, but I never put them in my portfolio. I put them in my blog instead.
Right, right.
So sometimes it's like I think it's great to do these exercises, but I wouldn't have them in your art station. Like your art station would be like almost like a released game, basically almost. So here we're getting a little bit more towards what you could have, like a weapon like this. But I think presentation wise, I would probably push it more. I think it's always nice to put this in context, meaning that I would maybe place this in a nice, basically room. Something like this, maybe. Let's see. Like put it in a nice context instead of like just a background like this.
Yeah, because these are probably like just like little homework that I did. I should probably just remove all of the
then I would like.
Yeah.
But if you have it, then you need to basically set up like a proper render for it, basically. Same here. I think like so this is a game, or is this
It's like school project game.
Do you have gameplay out of it and stuff like that? Yeah, here.
There's a little bit, but the programming part is not really finished, so.
Because I think that's always great to have like game examples. The question is if people would know if it's a game or not. Did you have like a title and stuff like that for the game? Meaning like was the game, did the game have like a name to it and stuff like that?
It doesn't really have like a logo.
Logo. Yeah, so if you have like a game project, even if it's a studio game, like I would like put the logo like this basically to make it very clear. Like all of my games are here that I worked on. So they all have the logo basically on them. Because then people know that, okay, this is a game project. Because that gives like a good information that you worked in a team and stuff like that. So, and even if we are like, for example, like this project, I don't do this type of art anymore, but I still have it because I worked with people on it basically. So I think this one, is this based on a tutorial or your own thing?
It started as a tutorial, but I added stuff to it. It's just my first kind of field designer project.
So I think if you have a material, like it needs to, like that's why I don't have any substance materials, because I can't do them strong enough to have them in. And I think like if you do one, you need to kind of push it super far, basically.
Right.
So like they need to basically be to these levels, basically. And you don't have to have them. Like I've survived. Like I always say that I've never opened Substance Designer professionally at work, and I worked almost 15 years now. I know how to use the software, but I'm not like super keen on it. So that's why I don't have it in my portfolio, basically. With that being said, it doesn't hurt to somewhat have it in your portfolio. But if you post it as like a main project like that, like if it's its own post, basically, then it needs to be basically like a project almost.
A material within the project. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so I mean, like if it's a post as a project almost like that, then it needs to almost like be as a whole environment time-wise almost. So this feels like that, right? Because it has like a lot of breakdowns. It has like this kind of like even animated texture inside. Like this is almost like a whole environment scene as a material, right?
Right.
Then of course, like when you build scenes as they are, you can put your materials in there. Then they don't have to be as like big in scope. So here, for example, I added like these ones I did. They would never survive as their own, but I just put them there because they're part of the scene and they work for the scene. I would never put them as like their own, like they are not strong enough for that. So if this was part of a scene, you could keep it, but I would not keep it as like its own project, basically.
I see.
I would say same with this one. Like maybe you want to push this further to be its own thing. So I like this a lot, that you're doing your own design and you show that. I know that they have some it could be cool to check out these. I think they did like coins and stuff like that, some people in Uncharted. Like what I'm after is like I would study maybe like from games and see like what can you do to push it further, maybe like fidelity wise. Always you want to have like a little bit description, stuff like that. But same here.
They're going to like supporting stuff at the side, like
yeah, like what software you use. Like this feels a little bit more as a kind of quick post because you don't have like posted what the software you use. There is like maybe one breakdown, but I would like to see the ZBrush code of this, stuff like that. So you always want to kind of like every time you do like a post, it should have a lot of information to it. Like it should feel like a project rather than a study, maybe. And for me, like it feels like a study if there is not a lot of context. Maybe the scope is not like super large. So if you do a coin, you want to maybe like push that coin to be like super high in fidelity. So I would maybe have this being a little bit more high res, for example. Maybe being able to see a little bit more roughness variation. Like it would be cool to see like a thumb. Like right now, it feels a little bit like the roughness is driven by just being in the creases. So it feels a little bit like Substance Painter with like one layer of filter. But could you add a little bit storytelling to this? Meaning like these are probably being touched by a lot of humans, so you would have like finger pressing against certain points more, stuff like that. You would have like stuff being rougher at some places, but right now it feels maybe a little bit like too equally perfect, right?
Right.
So when you do a prop like this, you want to kind of like push it that far, basically, like try to add as much storytelling as possible into the prop. And I would maybe they might have some coins they made. Like texturing here, for example, like you have like the like where the bearings here. I don't know the context why some of them have it and not. Like maybe there is a context there, but you can see there is like quite like small different type of noise here happening. Like it's not like a equally noise between every material here. So it could be nice to study some of these, like when you're creating stuff. Maybe presentation wise, these are quite interesting for you also to look at. Like here you have a coin. So here you can see like this has like dirt kind of accumulating in the corners and stuff like that. So this is your or this is 3D rendered, right?
Yeah, it's I only done the high poly of it, but it's based on just a concept, 2D concept. So it's more like a ZBrush exercise, I guess.
Yeah, and so I think like the ZBrush is good here. I would say maybe texturing could be pushed a little bit. You would probably want to look at probably a lot of like very gruesome stuff to really push this far. Maybe looking at games that have done this aesthetic, meaning like how would they kind of render flesh? Like for me, because I see you are kind of basing it on the concept, but the question is maybe like game wise, like it feels somewhat realistic. But then like can you kind of render the meat more kind of realistic, basically? And what can help there is, of course, like reference. When I worked on Walking Dead, like they had to look at very not so fun stuff. But you can also study other games, like how would they do it in like the games that do this type of aesthetic, right? Same here. I think instead of doing these, I would always do them in context. So it would be cool to have this maybe in a small environment, basically. But I think ZBrush wise, it's very impressive. Not sure what's happening here, like with the kind of black marks here. Like I can see there's like some painted kind of black stripes here. I guess there is. Like, do you know what that is? Like these.
Is it? I'm not sure. Is it just the shadows? I'm not sure.
No, I think it's like a brush stroke because you have it here also. Like for me, it looks a bit weird.
I see.
So when you do like a mesh render like this, I would just take it into Unreal or Marmoset to render it kind of cleaner. Like this is Painter, right?
I think it's just from ZBrush.
Okay, ZBrush, yeah. Like I would maybe set it up in Marmoset or Unreal because you can kind of get the polys in there without problem. I wonder even if you need it because you have these already. Like I think these look better, like visually. But yeah, I think you can keep that one. This one feels a little bit like a different style. I know it's like the Blizzard Art Contest, but the question is like, I would maybe not have this one, like, because I think I see some kind of like problems here also. Like I can see some hard normals here, like this stuff here, like bake problems.
Right.
But I do like this would be like a blog post maybe more for me because I like seeing this stuff, and you would show that through blog posts. This one is very cool. I think here the biggest aspect would be maybe lighting can be pushed much more because I think the subject matter is very cool. Is it your own design or?
Yeah. The project is just like a sci-fi corridor, so I can do like whatever sci-fi corridor I want.
Yeah. So lighting wise, I think you're losing a lot from it. I would probably bring this into Unreal. So here you can see a little bit like how like lighting can be pushed quite aggressively, right? Like I would try to create these type of moods basically with a scene like that. Like very foggy, a strong color to it. Give it a lot of personality that wise, basically. And you can do that through Unreal. I'm going to link this collection with lighting examples for you. But I think the scene itself you can keep if you like relight it a little bit inside Unreal. Like that would be kind of what you need to do with that one. And I'm like, yeah.
Because I kind of worked on it for a long time, and I kind of like starting to like not just like my own concept, so I kind of didn't push it for the rendering at the end, like for the lighting.
Yeah, but I think like this can be very cool if you set up like a really strong kind of lighting scenario. And for me, like the power here is that you concepted it yourself. Like I always appreciate someone that can concept their own things basically and dare to do it. It reminds me a little bit of, this is my concept collection. Like this, like you can do something like this basically, like very kind of just themey. So I think if you get, because the problem is like everything is just equally lit now, but if you get like darkness in here, maybe highlighting certain aspects, like this can become very, very cool.
That's it.
It's perfect also to kind of get into Unreal a little bit. So I would use this to kind of get used to Unreal. Have you been in Unreal anything?
Yes, but I didn't really render anything in Unreal. I just like place assets and play around with it.
So I have a playlist for you where like I save all the kind of tutorials when it comes to lighting. I can link that to you. Give me a second.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Playlists. Okay. So it's a little bit all over the place, but I would kind of like zip through these ones and you can find good information there. And then we talked about the car already. I would say here the big one is kind of texture density because I think everything else is nice. And then this one is cool. Good edge loops. I like this. Is this like different variations you did, like when you were kind of figuring it out? Yeah. So this is
I
strong.
started from zero, yeah, and just
Yeah.
kind of consulting everything.
Yeah. So I hope that helped you a little bit.
That was so nice. Thank you so much.
No worries. Any other questions?
Probably not. Thank you so much for the advice.
Yeah, no worries. Awesome work. We have a question here: how to best showcase extra skills without making portfolio confusing? Yeah, so like I said, I would say combination between blog. So don't be afraid to post a lot of here, but then I think this one is a new way for me to do it. Like Miro boards. Maybe send over the Miro board to studios when you feel like it's time for it. Instagram was a big one for me before. I had a art Instagram. I don't use it that much anymore, sadly. I got hacked. So I had to restart, and then I lost a little bit interest in it. But that was a nice way for me to also kind of get family members being able to follow my art. So I think Instagram can be good, and just link to that, or any other type of page you would put your art on. Because if I see an Instagram link on someone's art station, I click on it and see what they do on the side. Like I'm always kind of interested in that. So I have one portfolio more. And I think this artist is not in, but we will look at it still. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. I wanted to ask you how to pronounce it, but we will talk a little bit about this, and then hopefully you will see it in the recordings. So one thing I would say, like when you link your portfolio, I would always link this instead. Like this is a good reminder for everyone. I wouldn't link this. Like this is like the web page version of ArtStation. I'm not the biggest fan of this one because it's different, like compared to always being inside of here. So my tip to everyone here is never linking this one. Like always link your ArtStation, because for me it's much faster to get other informations like I don't know if blog post shows up here and stuff like that. And I would say like we are so used to using this page that much. So I would always link that. So cool, you have store even. Yeah, so I have a little bit of information here. Looking work to environment and real. So I would say the first thing I can see is that you are titling yourself quite broad, which can be a little bit dangerous sometimes, depending on what you're after. So it's a bit hard for me to know exact context here. You can always reach out to me to give me a little bit more context, but I'm guessing you are more in the realm of commercials and stuff like that. So I'm not super in that world. But I think in that world, of course, it's much broader because you do basically a little bit of everything when you're rendering out things. And that's kind of like a little bit also like what I can see with your portfolio, having characters, environments, and all of that stuff, basically. If you're aiming for video games, then you probably have to like lock yourself into a little bit more of a realm, if that's characters or environments. I would be careful like spreading both too wide, basically. I see you have quite old stuff also, like many years ago. Can always be good to ask yourself if it's time to maybe like remove a little bit stuff when you're kind of like have many years in the industry, basically. Another thing, level designer makes me a little bit confused. Like for me, we can talk a little bit about level design here, everyone. Let's see. Collections. So when you say level designer, this is basically level designers, at least in the game industry. doing these type of things, like the things that happens before the environment artist comes in. So it's basically establishing the environments that the players will play in, and then we as environment artists come in and dress them basically. So it's very rare you would be both basically, which makes it a bit confusing, like having both these titles. I don't know if that's like a title you have in kind of like the realm you are working in, but if it's towards games, I would probably not put it in portfolio basically. So what I would say is, if you're watching this recording, feel free to reach out to me and give me a little bit more context if it's kind of games you're after going into. Because then, like I said, you probably need to kind of put one kind of aim towards in terms of character or environments, like not both. And then you said like you're interested in both, like realism and stylized. I would always be a little bit careful going into both, especially if you're kind of trying to move towards games. But yeah, that's kind of everything I can kind of comment on without having you here. But I can see you're more working in movies, basically. I guess you are kind of like in our game studios doing a little bit of everything. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I wonder, has anyone asked any questions that I have missed and stuff like that? Or has anything before we wrap up for today? We might do one of these again, like if there is more people that want like a portfolio review. But it probably will be later this spring then. But if anyone has any questions before we wrap up, I'm happy to answer them. It seems like everything. Yeah, Alex?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on one thing you mentioned earlier about kind of tailoring your portfolio, and you can do so kind of by hiding projects. But I was just wondering if you could speak a little more on how you would tailor your portfolio to a specific position, and whether or not you think like something like a personal website or something where you can showcase some other things that you might not want on your art station, or how you would I don't know, tailor to certain job positions.
Yeah, so me, for example, when I tried to get, like, Naughty Dog was my big dream. So when I started, I only had these two pieces, basically. I was doing this game at the same time, but I didn't show it. Now, maybe I would show it nowadays. Like, if I feedback myself, I think having game projects is always strong because it shows that you can work in a team and stuff like that. But I was very locked in. So I only had these two. But then always kind of like having links here, basically. So linking to our hacked art Instagram that's removed could be one way of doing it. Probably like much fancier is to have a website. But I've never had the energy to set up a website. But the website would be probably like maybe even better because then you can kind of categorize everything and stuff like that. But your art station should just kind of catch the eye right away. And of course, now I have a lot here, so it might be a little bit overwhelming. But I would say when you start out, it's nice to have a little bit. Because like I said again, if you have specific things you want people to click on, the fewer options they have, the more chance it is that they will click it. So that's why we want to kind of like take away as much as possible. And then I think it's just about kind of like using blog, basically. Like here you can put whatever you want. So for example, I put like vacation doodles here. Or I did like every days for 3 years or something like that. Or is this, yeah, almost 3 years. And I just put like a couple of my favorite ones here. And you never know. Like some people might see this and appreciate it. It's here basically forever. I mean, this is kind of like a portfolio also, like when people click in here. So I hope that answers your question, Alex.
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I was wondering because I have been applying to some, more indie positions that also look for like animation work and, VFX or something. So it might not be something that I want to put on my art station, but I have like a personal website that I haven't updated in a bit, but just wondering how to hear
Yeah,
your recommendation. So thank you.
put it here and put it here, and maybe
Okay.
even like in the blog, like say when you update it, maybe do a blog post that you updated it, and then it will always be there as a link.
I see. Okay.
So that's a kind of maybe a way to do it.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
So great question from Lily. How do you balance everything you do, mentoring, person project working? Have you ever I had burnout when I worked in our indie studio, like really bad one. I think half of the studio had it. So it was not like a good work environment. I mean, we all were quite green. Nobody had worked on games before. So I got like numbness in half of my face and stuff like that. And I also got carpal syndrome. So very scary stuff. And for me, it was a little bit almost like a crossroad to maybe give up 3D, especially with carpal syndrome, because it was like hurting just sitting and working, like it always hurt working. So to fix that, I kind of like had to kind of like deal with that before kind of doing art again. So I would say like with the physical stuff, art like carpal syndrome, like it's basically when you swollen your wrist and you get like numbness in your hands, and it's a very kind of not nice feeling. And I had it in both hands. I started to do a lot of like these type of exercise. I think I write about it a little bit in one blog here. Like here. Dr. Levi, if you ever have a problem with your hands, I would recommend this YouTube channel. He's focusing on e-sporters, basically, so people at the computer. So he has a lot of good stretch things. So I start doing those, and then a lot of key bindings and stuff like that. Together with like using my Wacom tablet when I model. So I actually sit in Blender and Maya with my Wacom tablet, and that kind of fixed that problem. When it comes to mentally burnout, I think I wish I had a good answer. Like back then, it kind of just my way of fixing it was to move town and like move job basically. So basically switching environment, I would say. I think nowadays I try to always kind of plan a lot better, and plan rest basically. So when I work on personal projects, sometimes I do. Can I have an example of that? Yeah, like do these type of planners basically, and planning maybe rest times and stuff like that. This might be a little bit excessive for some people, but this helps me a lot to keep track of my weeks and stuff like that. So planning in rest time, and then I think, which I'm very bad at, saying no. Is important also, and explaining to people that you might be just having to take time for yourself. That's something I still struggle with. I have a very hard time saying no to people when it comes to both like I guess helping, but also like someone wants to do a project, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? So I think being good at saying no is a very powerful thing, which is, for me at least, very hard. So same with like when it comes to like, I did a lot of freelance now in fall because I did take a pause from the industry. So I think taking pauses sometimes, if possible, is important. So I got a bit burned out from my last job. I did that for 5 years and then it just disappeared. And that can also be some types of burnout, I guess, like when you just like all your coworkers lose their job and stuff like that. So for me, it was about not stressing into a new studio. I had the chance to do it, but I said no, to just kind of like be smart about it when it comes to like not jumping on something right away. I know that not everyone has that possibility, but that's why I always try to save a little bit money. So I always have that possibility. So for me, that's very important always to save money to be able to say no, basically. And that's what I did this fall, and just worked on my personal project and having fun and teaching, basically. So that was my fall, basically. And now I'm kind of like energized, I guess. But yeah, I've been in situation when I said yes to 2 freelance jobs at the same time, and I'm like, I should have done that. So I try to learn from those mistakes. But it's hard when it's like 2 cool projects at the same time, and you have to like pick one, like, or you feel like you will miss out. But sometimes I think what I learned by saying no this summer was that, of course, it feels like you're missing out on stuff, but then you never know what can kind of come up later. And now I got basically, I would say, my dream job by waiting a half year instead of jumping on something right away. But yeah, I hope that answers the question somewhat. But working remote, I would say like take walks every day. Like I would really recommend trying to like if you work remote specifically, because when you work in studios, I think like then you kind of do it a little bit like on lunch and stuff like that. But I think like when we work remote, it's very easy to just sit at home and doing work and then doing work like art after work. So having kind of like walks outside. I try to walk to work basically. So in the morning, I always take a walk to basically walk to my home office at home, and then lunch, etc. But yeah, I hope that answered those questions, Lily. Anything else before we wrap up? I think the next stream would be character based, so that will happen in 3 weeks. It will be Oscar that works at Arrowhead that will have that stream. I think it should come up on the main list for everyone. I will be back in a month. In the end of April will be the next stream. We haven't really decided what the stream will be about, but I have some topics that I want to cover. So information about that will appear later. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good time, and yeah, wish everyone a nice weekend, and hope to see you the next stream. Have a good one, everyone.